is it okay to criticize athletes on social media in this NIL era? And I asked that question for this reason. What did Gerald Mincey have to say about Tennessee fans after he went to Kentucky, which would be what, his third school, right?
Third school in 4 years.
Okay. What did he have to say?
So Gerald Mincey tweeted out yesterday, quote, "Really gave my all to Tennessee. Reading all these negative comments hurts, man. Not gonna lie. Played this past season with a torn MCL and was able to help my team win a bowl game with a big smile on my face because I did love being a volunteer. But S word, business is business." And then he retweeted November 2nd, which is when Tennessee plays Kentucky. So he's marked the date for when he gets to play Tennessee again.
I was probably gonna get the hell beat out of him then, but that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna, if you can check the YouTube board, where are we now? And you can read off today's tough question. It's brought to you by Andy Mason of Andy Mason realestate.com. Over 40 years of experience in real estate in Knoxville. Best prices, best service in the biz. How simple is that? And I mean it. When we say something about our sponsors, we mean it. Support our sponsors. That's why we're here. All righty. So where are we now on the today's tough question? Read me the question and give me where we stand percentage-wise on fans that have voted already.
77%. Okay, the question is, is it okay to rip players in the NIL era? And 77% say, yep, you're getting paid. 21%, I'm sorry, that's now 79% say, yep, you're getting paid. 21% say, nope, still kids. So that's where we're at.
All right. Let me start with you because I have some strong feelings on this. Give me your thoughts on criticizing players before they're getting paid as opposed to after they're getting paid. What's the Calhoun approach?
The Calhoun approach is a case-by-case basis. I'm not going to be as hard on a walk-on thrust into a starting role because there's no depth there and who struggles. I will point out he's struggling, but I'm not going to go at him the way, for instance, Stephen A. Smith used to go at Kwame Brown for being a scrub in the NBA. I'm not going to call him names, put it that way.
Okay.
I'm not going to make fun of his play. I'm not going to go Bush League. I will tell you guys openly, when I first got into this business as a sports blogger, I was a lot cockier, a lot more of a hothead, and I went at athletes because I'm like, they're athletes and I can do this, but they were college athletes and it was before NIL, and I went at some walk-ons, and I wish I hadn't done that. I really do wish I hadn't done that. However, I am totally fine with being what I used to be towards scholarship athletes who are starters at this point, because they're almost always getting paid. And they're almost always getting paid, as you know, Dave, probably about six figures, right? So at this point, I don't feel bad for going at people like Gerald Mincey. I went at Dante Thornton this past year. I went at Andre Carrick, who we know took money to come from Texas to Tennessee. You guys are getting paid. I get to rip you if you're not delivering. It's just that simple. That comes with the territory at this point. That's the nature of NIL. And Gerald Mincey, that's fair. He said he was playing with a torn MCL. I didn't know that. And I don't know if you probably didn't know that either, Dave, right? He kept that under wraps.
Oh, well, I mean, big guys, there's probably 8 guys that are playing with a torn MCL midway through the season. I mean,
yeah,
a partially torn MCL, I mean, that's not unusual. I thought that was kind of crybaby-ish a little bit. But.
And this is a problem. And I'm just going to say this with Gerald Mincey. I think one of the things that holds you back, Gerald Mincey, is you have been sensitive in the past. You came at me when I was at my other place because I talked about your penalty issues and you tried to correct me on something. We're just guys talking football. If you're letting us get to you, then you got way deeper issues as a football player than anything we could say about you. Because as a football player, you probably, I can tell you right now, most of the elite players on the team don't care what we say about them. They don't. They genuinely don't. And I think that if you are caring that much about it, you have other issues that are going to cost you on the field, because then you're thin-skinned, and you can't afford to be thin-skinned in the SEC.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with you pretty significantly here. And if you would have asked me in the NIL era when it started, I would have been like, and I think most of the media covering college football was like, oh, they're getting paid now, I can rip them. No, I don't think so. My thinking on that is way different now that we're in the era, because I see so many kids getting taken advantage of because they don't have the backing of an agent or even necessarily a strong family behind them, a mentor, a coach. I've just seen too many instances of where Jaden Rashada shows up at Florida and then drops all the way to Arizona State because Florida didn't have the cash on hand. We don't know what happened exactly with the Tyler Barron situation, but something went awry because he didn't have a home at Ole Miss that he thought he had. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's not time to rip them. Now, I think it certainly looks better as well, and I believe you would agree with this. Pragmatically, if you say, thanks, Gerald, for all you did, good luck. It's harder to do when it's in the SEC, right? But you say that, you look better as a fan base, and it helps you in recruiting down the line. Caleb, I'm not expecting every single fan to do that, but I've actually surprised myself. I don't think you should rip kids, and I'm going to defend kids on this because I just don't believe that they have oftentimes, and when I say oftentimes, I'm talking 70, 80% of the support system to be able to handle these new financial arrangements that are much more complicated in picking a school than they were pre-NIL. So I'm going to back Mincey on this. I'm going to say, so the question is, today's tough question, you can vote on YouTube. Former Vol Gerald Mincey had his feelings hurt for transferring. Is it okay to rip players in the NIL era? Yep, you're getting paid. 81%. Nope, still kids. I'm in the nope, still kids. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm right. I mean, I don't.
Are you addressing? Wait, here's the question. Okay, maybe we're speaking past each other. So I want to see if we can come to an agree, if we can be on the same page before I say I disagree with you. Okay. Are you talking about ripping Mincey for leaving and transferring to Kentucky, or ripping Mincey for his play on the field for Tennessee? Do you not think ripping his play is fair game?
No, I would say both. I wouldn't rip him for either. Now I would rip him for
ripping for his play.
Well, okay, let me finish. Criticizing and ripping is different, right? You and I criticize fairly, okay? When you get on Twitter and you're this keyboard commando and there is no name attached, you're just Bob Lyle, whatever, 70923. I think that's pretty weak, to be really real honest with you. And I think it makes you look bad as a fan base. So I don't think it's okay to rip players in the NIL era for play or for transferring. I realize it hurts, but it is a business. If you want to be critical, that's fine. I understand that. But when you get into the era of calling names and that sort of thing, and you get nasty, which you know it can get that way, that to me is where you cross the line. Your thoughts on that? Hit like and subscribe, please, real quick. Do that for me. If you enjoy the show, weekdays at 10 a.m. Cooper Mays of the Ball Report is up now, so turn the notifications on. And also Jacob Warren will drop on Saturday. And I know that Caleb has a breakdown of Kalen DeBoer, no relation to Caleb because they almost have the first name. So he'll have that up this weekend too. So we've got a lot going on. So please turn the notifications on. All right. You can call me softy now, Caleb, because I think that's coming.
Well, I think, okay, in terms of, I still to this day don't directly rip players for their play on the field if I think they are showing effort to a certain degree. When I criticized Ollie Lane's play this year, I'm like, look, Ollie Lane was not good at left guard. You never called.
He knew that.
You never heard me call Ollie Lane a disgrace, though, or anything like that. But you did hear me say when there was a jump ball that Dante Thornton didn't go up for against Florida, yeah, I'm backing myself calling him a disgrace for that. He was good enough to go get that ball. He chose not to leap up for that ball, and he transferred to Tennessee for NIL. Was that not fair to call it disgraceful right there that he didn't go leap for that ball, Dave? And make the effort on a 50-50 ball?
I think there are times for effort where I'm with you, okay? And this came up a lot in the Jerry Green days because they would have games that they would just show up and they were way more talented and they'd leave teams in it or they would lose. I mean, Southwest Missouri State. Yeah, there are several instances where you don't see a team's effort. Now, that to me can be difficult because if you don't know what you're supposed to do, it looks like poor effort in football. Okay, it does. I mean, if you're unsure as an offensive guard, if you're supposed to step left or step right, it can look like effort. So I'm careful with football, the one sport in particular. But yes, if you want to
Dylan Sampson?
Okay, if you want to, well, I don't
not
know.
Not blocking.
Okay, I would have to ask around and see if that's an effort thing or that's a he's not grasping the offense thing. I can't tell you.
It can't be that hard to pick up pass blocking. You cannot convince me that pass blocking is hard for a running back to pick up. That's a willingness issue. I've never heard of a running back. I've never heard of a running back take that long to pick up pass blocking ever in the history of covering football. I think Dylan Sampson is protecting himself for the pros. I do.
Okay. I'm not willing to go there, but I appreciate the fact that you are, and I can understand that, and it's way different than it would have been 10 years ago. Okay, I would have defended Dylan Sampson to the hilt, but yeah, Dylan Sampson's probably making more money than you, me, and any one of our posters that are online right now.
Okay, but here's another one, Dave. What about the 1999 season? You were covering the team during that time. Remember how by the end of the year, fans had totally turned on Jamal Lewis, but they loved Travis Henry? Well, they were right. They were absolutely right to turn on Jamal and love Travis Henry because I don't care when it was. Travis Henry ran hard. Whatever you think about him in his personal life, Travis Henry was the hardest runner Tennessee ever had. Wasn't he? He gave 110% effort every time he touched the ball. And Jamal Lewis, let's call it what it is, was protecting himself in 99. He shouldn't have even played on the team that year. Should have just waited for the NFL draft.
No, I don't have an argument with that. And it was apparent. Was it the Kentucky game where he had to go in because Travis Henry got hurt and Stevens wasn't available for some reason?
It was Stevens redshirted. It was Vanderbilt. It was after Henry had that freak injury against Vanderbilt.
That's right. And it looked like, seriously, that it looked like Jamal Lewis had accidentally put on his uniform that he wasn't expecting to play a football game that day. Did it not?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you want to rip that, I'm okay with that. But if you want to rip transferring, I can't tell you what to do on social media, not you or anybody else. But I think it's a better look for the fan base. You guys can't argue with me pragmatically, and you can't either, Caleb. It's better. It's a better look if you don't rip guys that are leaving or that don't play well, right?
I don't believe in ripping guys that are leaving. I will say that because they are making decisions about their future. And I stick with that. I say we wish them all the best. The only time I believe in ripping them if they're leaving is if they so blatantly do, like if they pull a Tyler Barron. And I'm not ripping Tyler Barron's character. I'm ripping Tyler Barron's, honestly, lack of forward thinking with what he's doing. I'm ripping his short-sightedness because I just don't think what he's doing is smart. Quite honestly.
That's fair. No, that's very fair. Dayne Davis back. A deal, big deal, huge deal.
A deal. And this is I wanted to keep it on this segment because we're talking about ripping players, and Dayne Davis is not somebody I would rip. He's a Vol for life, great story, worked his way onto scholarship, I believe, as a walk-on. But he's not a starter in the SEC. He's not.
His problem is he's too tall and he can't get leverage at guard, and he doesn't have feet that move well enough to play tackle. That's his problem, and that's something that God made him. So there's not a lot he can do about that.